Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपी कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदानेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। बोलो श्री राधे गोलोकानंद भगवान की
जय।
श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।
जय।
हरे कृष्णा जय।
हरे कृष्णा सर।
हरे कृष्णा सचिन।
Hare Krishna everybody.
Hare Krishna everyone.
How's your trip, Sachin?
It was good. So I was 8 days out. Went to SFO, met a friend there. Spent some time in SFO, Yosemite. Went to this other side of the mountain range, Mammoth Lakes and all that. And then took CS 395, went down to Los Angeles, went to San Diego. So it was a long 8-day trip to spend 2 days everywhere. So yeah, and that's one of the things, 10 days I'm kind of quarantining, isolating, because I don't know where I went, because I know California, the COVID rate is going up again, right? So, but everybody is so far good at home monitoring. But it was great. The trip was awesome. Parents enjoyed it. Like, they wanted to go there like in 2018, but then we couldn't go, and then COVID happened and it got all delayed. So this time we did it. So it was good.
Nice. Yeah, it was a good time actually. Cool. Nice, Sachin. I'll get it started. Hello, Tarun. And जैसा कि हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं, लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा जी सारे देवतास कैलाश पर्वत आते हैं, and we read Kailash Parvat's description. Then Lord Brahma ji is Lord Shiva से प्रार्थना करते हैं to restart the yajna and to revive everyone who was injured or whatever, right? So then Lord Shiva, as he is known as Ashutosh, of course, and he is Mahadev, he then revives everyone in specific forms. And that's what we are reading. And then they all come back to the place where yajna was happening earlier, right? So that's what we read yesterday. Thereafter, Bhrigu, the chief of the great sages, invited Lord Shiva to come to the sacrificial arena. Yeah. Thus, the demigods, accompanied by the sages, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, all went to the place where the great sacrifice was being performed. Yeah. So they all come there. And it says here that the whole sacrifice arranged by King Daksh had been disturbed by Lord Shiva, as we know. Therefore, all the demigods present there, along with Lord Brahma and the great sages, specifically requested Lord Shiva to come and revive the sacrificial fire. Yeah, Brihaspati Sav Yajna. Yeah? There is a common phrase, Shiv Hin Yajna, means any sacrifice without the presence of Lord Shiva is baffled. Lord Vishnu is Yagneshwar, the supreme personality in the matter of sacrifice. Yet, in each yajna, it is necessary for all the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, to be present. And as we were reading in one of the shlokas before, Lord Shiva is Yogeshwar. So Lord Vishnu is Yogeshwar and Lord Shiva is Yogeshwar. That's how they are known. So we'll start with shlok 8, Tarun.
विधाय कर्तस्नेर्येन च तद् Bhagwan Yaka Bhagwan Bhavaha Sandhu Kasya Kayena Savanya Paso Shiraha. After everything was executed exactly as directed by Lord Shiva, Daksha's body was joined to the head meant to be Krishna.
Yeah, I think you're breaking up a little bit, huh? But so as we know, then Lord Shiva, yeah, gets the head of a goat. Yeah, Ajay.
Sure. Sandhiya mane shirisa daksho rudra bhivichitah sadhya supta ivo tasthau dridishe jagrato mridam. When the animal's head was fixed on the body of King Daksh, Daksh was immediately brought to consciousness, and as he awakened from sleep, the king saw Lord Shiva standing before him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so kind of important. So when you know that Prajapati Daksha's head was cut by Veerbhadra, and now that his head was fixed again, but he got the head of a god, yeah. And then he, as soon as that was done, he immediately brought to consciousness. Yeah, says Daksho Rudra Bhivikshitaha Shadha Supta Eva Tasto Dirgase Chagrato Mridam. And then he saw Lord Shiva standing before him. Yeah. And it's a nice purport. So let's read this. Sachin.
The example given here is that Daksha got up as if he were awakened from deep sleep. In Sanskrit, this is called Supta Evo Tasasthav. The meaning is that after a man awakens from sleep, he immediately remembers all the duties which he must execute. Daksha was killed and his head was taken away and burnt to ashes. His body was lying dead, but by the grace of Lord Shiva, as soon as the head of a goat was joined to the body, Daksha came back to consciousness again. This indicates that consciousness is also individual. Daksha actually took another body when he took on the head of a goat, but because consciousness is individual, his consciousness remained the same, although his bodily condition changed. Thus, bodily construction has nothing to do with the development of consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's like he got up from a deep sleep. Yeah. Tarun?
Consciousness is carried with the transmigration of the soul. There are many instances of this in Vedic history, such as the case of Maharaja Bharata. After quitting his body as a king, Maharaj Bharata was transferred to the body of a deer, but retained the same consciousness. He knew that although formerly he was King Bharata, he had been transferred to the body of a deer because of his absorption in thinking of a deer at the time of his death. In spite of his having the body of a deer, however, the consciousness was as good as it was the body of King Bharata. The arrangement by the Lord is so nice that if a person's consciousness is turned into Krishna consciousness, there is no doubt that in his next life, he'll be a great devotee of Krishna, even if he is offered a different type of body. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so I think this is the most important part mentioned here, right? A lot of times everyone wonders, like, so what, right? If you are doing the devotion, we are doing all this bhakti, shmiranam, kirtanam, meditation, what happens in the next life, right? Is it really useful? And that's the point. Like, even if we don't get totally supreme conscious and get that relationship with Lord Shri Krishna, but because you are doing the devotion, yeah, it says the arrangement by the Lord is so nice that if a person's consciousness is turned into Krishna consciousness, there is no doubt that in his next life, he will be a great devotee of Krishna, irrespective of whatever body he is in. Yeah. And they generally say that at least he'll get a next human birth so that, he can continue in the devotional cycle. Tada vrishidhvaja dveshe कलीलात्मा प्रजापति है, शिवा को लोकाद भवच्छ रतध्रद इवामल है. At that time, when Daksha saw Lord Shiva, who rides upon a bull, his heart, which was polluted by envy of Lord Shiva, was immediately cleansed, just as the water in a lake is cleansed by the autumn rains. Yeah. So earlier, as we know, Prajapati Daksh was very jealous of Lord Shiva, but when Lord Shiva got him back the new life, and when he saw him standing in front of him, his heart got immediately cleansed. Yeah. Sachin?
Vastavayo Krutadhinar Shnodhanuragatah Autkantya Daksha Kalaya Samparetam Sutam Smaran. King Daksha wanted to offer prayers to Lord Shiva, but as he remembered the ill-fated death of his daughter Sati, his eyes filled with tears, and in bereavement, his voice choked up and he could not say anything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so as soon as King Daksh became conscious, he wanted to offer Bhava Istuvaya, he wanted to offer prayers to Lord Shiva, but then he remembered his daughter, and daughter is Sati, yeah, if you remember. So he says here, Samparetam Sutam Ishmaranam. So he remembered daughter Sati, and then he got this time filled with tears, and his voice got choked up. He couldn't speak further. So, Hare Krishna, Rinaji.
हरे कृष्णा काबरा जी.
हरे कृष्णा विनोद जी, कैसे हैं आप?
हाँ गुड गुड बढ़िया ठीक है.
गुड, नाइस टू सी यू. पढ़ेंगे?
हाँ श्योर श्योर यस. क्या क्या पढ़ना क्या?
हाँ, तो श्लोक एंड उसका ट्रांसलेशन.
ओके ओके ओके. कृच्छ्रथ समस्तभ्या कामनः प्रेमा विहावलितः शुद्धिः सशंसा निर्व्यालिकेन भावेनेशं प्रजापतिः. At this time, King Daksh, afflicted by love and affection, was very much awakened to his real senses. With great endeavor, he pacified his mind, checked his feelings, and with pure consciousness began to offer prayers to Lord Shiva.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So Lord Prajapati Daksh, then he starts praying to Lord Shiva, yeah. Bhave na Isham. So, Ajay?
Sure. Daksh Vach भूयान ननुग्रह अहो भक्ता कृतो मैं दंड स्वयामय भृतो यदपि प्रलब्धः न ब्रह्मा बंधुषु च वां भगवदन वज्ञा तुभ्यं हरेश्वरं कृत एव धृत व्रतेषु. King Daksha said, "My dear Lord Shiva, I committed great offense against you, but you are so kind that instead of withdrawing your mercy, you have done me a great favor by punishing me. You and Lord Vishnu never neglect even useless, unqualified Brahmans. Why then should you neglect me, who am engaged in performing sacrifices?" Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So King Daksh is of course saying that you are so kind that instead of withdrawing your mercy, you have done me a great favor by punishing me, is what Prajapati Daksh is saying. Yeah. And you know, it's coincidence that we are reading about Lord Shiva, and it's actually Shravan Mahina starting from today. Yeah. So nice. Sachin?
विद्यात प्रव्रतधरान् मुखतः स्म विप्रान् ब्रह्मात्मत्म त्वत्वमवितुं प्रथमं त्वमस्राक तद्ब्रह्मणां param sarva vipatsu pasi palah pashuniva vibho pragruhita dandaha. My dear great and powerful Lord Shiva, you were created first from the mouth of Lord Brahma in order to protect the Brahmanas in pursuing education, austerities, vows, and self-realization. As protector of the Brahmanas, you always protect the regulative principles they follow. Just as a cowherd boy keeps a stick in his hand to give protection to the cows. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so what is Daksh? Prajapati Daksh saying is that's why he got the punishment, because, and he's saying Lord Shiva, yeah, was first created from the mouth of Lord Brahma. Says yeah, Brahma Prathamam Tvam Straka. Yeah. So Lord Shiva was created from Lord Brahma's, and then he's saying why was Lord Shiva created, and Prajapati Daksh is saying in pursuing education, austerities, vows, and self-realization. Yeah, says here Vidya Tap Vrat, and then here says Atma Tattva. Yeah, that's how Lord Shiva is protector of all the Brahmans. So that's why Prajapati Daksh is saying that he should also protect Prajapati Daksh and the whole yajna, right? So, yeah. Tarun?
Yoso Maya Viditya Tattva Drasha Sabhayam Sipto Durukti Visikher Viganya Tanmam Arvak Patantam Arhatatma Nindayapad Drashyaradharya Sa Bhagwanasya Krutena Tushyat. I did not know your full glories. For this reason, I threw arrows of sharp words at you in the open assembly. Although you did not take them into account, I was going down to hell because of my disobedience to you, who are the most respectable personality. But you took compassion upon me and saved me by awarding punishment. I request that you be pleased by your own mercy, since I cannot satisfy you by my words. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, actually, you be pleased by your own mercy. He says, Bhagwan Swakritena Tushyeta. Why? Because Prajapati Daksh is saying that he doesn't have the words or the capacity of satisfying Lord Shiva. Yeah. So, by his own mercy, please be pleased on Prajapati Daksh and all the Devatas who are gathered there. Yeah. And actually, nice purport. Let's read this. Hare Krishna, Jitendra.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Padenge?
As usual, a devotee in an adverse condition of life accepts such a condition to be the mercy of the Lord. Factually, the insulting words used by Daksh against Lord Shiv were enough to have him thrown perpetually into a hellish life. But Lord Shiv, being kind towards him, awarded him punishment to neutralize the offense. King Daksh realized this and, feeling obliged for Lord Shiv's magnanimous behavior, wanted to show his gratitude. Sometimes a father punishes his child, and when the child is grown up and comes to his senses, he understands that the father's punishment was not actually punishment but mercy. Similarly, Daksh appreciated that the punishment offered to him by Lord Shiva was a manifestation of Lord Shiva's mercy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you. Sachin?
That is the symptom of a person making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness. It is said that a devotee in Krishna consciousness never takes any miserable condition of life to be condemnation by Supreme Personality of Godhead. He accepts the miserable condition to be the grace of Lord. He thinks, I would have been punished or put into more dangerous condition of life due to my past misdeeds, but the Lord has protected me. Thus I have received only a little punishment as token of execution of law of karma. Thinking of His grace in that way, a devotee always surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead more and more seriously and is not disturbed by such so-called punishment. Hare
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Rasikshan Prabhuji? Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Padenge?
Maitreya Uvacha समाप्य सह मृडवासं ब्रह्मचानुमन्त्रितः कर्म सन्तयामास सोपाध्याय तत्त्वगादिभिः. The great sage Maitreya said, thus being pardoned by Lord Shiva, King Daksh, with the punishment of the Lord Brahma, again began the performance of the yajna. Although with the great learned sage, the priest and others,
Hare Krishna.
along with the great learned sage, the priest and others.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So the great sage Maitreya said, and Maitreya Muni is talking to whom?
Vidurji.
Vidurji, yeah. Mahatma Vidur. As we know that conversation is going on between Maitreya Muni and Mahatma Vidur at Ganga Tat, where Mahatma Vidur has asked Maitreya Muni to explain the whole episode of Mother Sati and Lord Shiva. So Maitreya Muni is continuously telling Mahatma Vidur that after that, Lord Shiva pardoned King Daksh, and then with Brahmana Chanumantrita, after Lord Brahmaji's permission, the yajna started again. And what's the name of that yajna? That Mahayajna, what's the name? Brahashpati Savaya. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's the Mahayajna which is being performed. Yeah. Yeah. Vinodji?
Vaisnavam yagna santatai trikapalam dvijotatmah purudo sam nirvapan vratas samsarga sudhaye. Thereafter, in order to resume the activities of sacrifice, the Brahmins first arranged to purify the sacrificial arena of the contamination caused by the touch of Veerbhadra and the other ghostly followers of Lord Shiva. Then they arranged to offer into the fire the oblations known as purudos.
Hare Krishna, yeah.
Hare
So
Krishna.
then, yeah, before resuming the activity of sacrifice, they wanted to purify the whole place because of all the distractions which had happened. And and that whole oblation is called Purodash. Yeah. So Purodash is into the fire, the oblations known as Purodash, to purify the whole place before starting the again. Actually, there is nice things mentioned here. Let's read this, Tarun.
The worship of the Vishnu deity in the temple is also Vishnu Yajna. In all Vishnu temples, therefore, the priest who takes care of the Archana Vidhi must be very clean. Everything should be always kept neat and clean, and the foodstuffs should be prepared in a neat and clean manner. All these regulative principles are described in the Nectar of Devotion. There are 32 kinds of offenses in discharging Archana service. It is required, therefore, that one be extremely careful not to be unclean. Generally, whenever any ritualistic ceremony is begun, the holy name of Lord Vishnu is first chanted in order to purify the situation. Whether one is in a pure or impure condition, internally or externally, if one chants or even remembers the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, one immediately becomes purified. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So several important things mentioned in this paragraph, right? One is the Vishnu deities, puja, right? Is same as Vishnu Yajna, right? Like if you go to the temple and we are having Lord Shri Krishna's deity and Lord Vishnu's deity, right? In Kali Yuga, doing the Archana Vidhi, yeah, that's called Archana Vidhi. When we are doing the puja, is like a yajna, right? In Kali Yuga. And the second thing mentioned here is the Nectar of Devotion. So the Nectar of Devotion is a book by Swami Prabhupada where he provides instructions on how to stay clean and then what are the regulative principles when you are doing prayers and discharging all the devotional duties. Yeah. And then the third thing, which is most important, which is mentioned, is whenever we are doing anything, before any ritualistic ceremony, yeah, the holy name of Lord Vishnu is first chanted. And if we chant the holy name of Lord Vishnu and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what happens is the situation is purified. And one is pure or impure condition, internally or externally. If one chants or even remembers the holy name, even remembers the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, one immediately gets purified. Yeah, so that's the very important part mentioned here. So everything we start our prayers or rituals, it's always good to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, Lord Sri Krishna, and then one gets purified, and then we can start our praying process. Yeah, so nicely mentioned here. Ajay? Ajay, on mute.
Ardhav Yuruna Havisha Yajmano Vishampate Dhiya Vishuddhya Dadhyo Tatha Pradur Bhudhari. The great sage Maitreya said to Vidur, "My dear Vidur, as soon as King Daksha offered the clarified butter with the Yajurved mantras in sanctified meditation, Lord Vishnu appeared there in his original form as Narayan." Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. So then after that purification, King Daksh offered the clarified butter, of course, yeah. And the mantras are from the Yajurved mantra. It says Yadharva Yuna Visha. And Yajmano is referred to Prajapati Daksha when he offered Vishuddhaya Dadhyo Tatha Pradhurat Bhut Hari Hai. So Hari is Lord Vishnu, yeah, and Lord Vishnu appeared there in his original form as Narayan. Yeah, it says here Lord Vishnu is all pervading. Any devotee who in sanctified meditation, following the regulatory principles, chants the required mantras in service and in a devotional mood can see Vishnu. Yeah, that's the power of chanting. So it is not just chanting in the air, that sound vibration, and it says that in that meditation, yeah, and in devotional mood, one can see Lord Vishnu. Yeah, it is said in the Brahma Samhita that a devotee whose eyes are anointed with the ointment of love of Godhead can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead always within his heart. Lord Shyam Sundar is so kind to his devotee. Yeah, the Karuna Sindhu, that's why I call him Karuna Sindhu, so kind that one who remembers him, he can give darshan to. Yeah. Shikshan Prabhuji.
तदा स्वप्रभया तेषां द्योतयन्तया दिशो दश मुष्णं तेजोपानीतस्ताक्षर्येण स्त्रोतवाजिना. Lord Narayan was seated on the shoulder of Stotra or Garun, who had big wings. As soon as the Lord appeared, all directions are illuminated, diminishing the luster of Brahma and other present.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So as soon as the Lord appeared, Lord Vishnu in the form of Narayan, all directions were illuminated. Says Bhutayantya Disho Dasya. Yeah. All the 10 directions. And Stroto Ajina means the Garud who had big wings. Yeah. That's on. The Garud is the Vahan of Lord Narayan, as we know. So Lord Narayan was seated on the shoulder of Garud. Yeah. And then a description of the Narayan is given in the following 2 shlokas. So the next 2 shlokas are talking about Lord Narayan. Shamo hiranyarashano akrakirita justo Nilalak brahmar mandita kundalasha Shankhabz chakra shar chap gadasi charma Vyagre hiranya bhujeri karnikara. His complexion was blackish, his garment yellow like gold, and his helmet as dazzling as the sun. His hair was bluish, the color of black bees, and his face was decorated with earrings. His 8 hands held a conch shell, wheel, club, lotus flower, arrow, bow, shield, and sword. And they were decorated with golden ornaments such as bangles and bracelets. His whole body resembled a blossoming tree, beautifully decorated with various kinds of flowers. Yeah. So Lord Narayan appeared, and that's how Lord Narayan is described. That his complexion was blackish. Yeah. Shamo, says here Shamo. Yeah. And the garments he was wearing was yellow like gold, and his helmet as dazzling as the sun. Here says Akar Kirita Justo. That is his helmet as as dazzling as the sun. And Hiranyarashno is clothes like golden yellow. And here says Neel Alak Brahmar. So he says the color of the black bees. The hair was bluish like Neel, like the color of black bees. And his face was decorated with earrings like Kundala Share. And then in his hands he had Shank, Chakra, Shar, Chap, the arrow and the bow and the Gada, and shield and sword. And then they were decorated with golden ornaments such as bangles and bracelets. And his whole body resembled a blossoming tree, beautifully decorated with various kinds of flowers. So beautifully explained here. And actually we'll read the description tomorrow about Lord Vishnu. We'll pause here since we only have 3.5 minutes. Or tomorrow we don't have, so we'll again meet on Monday. And then from Monday we'll start again for 50 minutes, right? So today we'll pause here. Anything you want to say, Rashiksham Prabhuji?
No, Prabhuji.
Good. Okay. So then, like we have been hearing Shiv Mahima, so we'll continue to hear the Shiv Mahima since this is Shravan Mahina, and also we are reading about Lord Shiva. A very nice Shiv Mahima sung by Ramesh Bhaiji Oja, Puja Ramesh Bhaiji Oja. Okay, and then we'll see you on Monday, 10 p.m. EST. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
सिद्धार्थानैव क्वचिदपि सदेवासुरनरे निवर्तन्ते नित्यं जगति जयिनो यस्य विशिखा स पश्यन्नीषद्भामितरसुरसाधारणमभूत् स्मर्तव्यात्मा न हि वशिषुपथ्यः परिभवम् पदं विष्णुर्भ्राम्यं भुजपरिघरुग्णग्रहगणं मुहूर्तौस्थ्यं यात्यनिभृतजडाताडिततटा जगद्रक्षायै त्वं नटसि ननु वामैव विभुता शतलघुदृष्टशिरसिते जगद्वीपाकारं जलधिवलयं तेन कृतमित्यनेनैवोन्नेयं कृतमहिमदेव्यं तव वपु रथक्षोणीयन्ता शतद्रुतिरगेन्द्रो धनुरथो रथाङ्गे चन्द्रार्कौ रथचरणपाणिशर इति दिदक्षोस्ते भूयं त्रिपुरतृणमाडम्बरविधिर्विधेयै क्रीडन्त्यो न खलु परतन्त्रा प्रबुधियम् कमलबलिमाथाय पदयो यदेको नेतस्मिन् निजमुदहरन् नेत्रकमलम्